The restaurant was bright and full of laughter until the words fell like thunder in the middle of the celebration. "I've decided to start a new life without you." Mark stood with a champagne glass raised, his voice clear and cold. The room froze. Forks stopped mid-air, and everyone turned toward Lisa, his wife of 28 years. It was supposed to be a toast to their daughter's graduation, not a public breakup. 50 pairs of eyes waited for tears, shouting, or a dramatic scene. But Lisa only smiled calmly and said, "Congratulations on your honesty." Her name was Lisa Carter. She was 54 years old and had spent most of her life being the perfect wife and mother. For years, she had pushed her own dreams aside to support Mark's endless business ideas. She raised their daughter, Emily, almost single-handedly while he chased one failed project after another. Beside her, Emily sat frozen, her graduation cap still on her head, her proud smile fading into confusion. Across the room at a back table, a young woman named Claire looked down nervously. Mark's secret girlfriend, suddenly not so secret anymore. Claire had been part of their social circle for years. She attended Lisa's Christmas parties, laughed at her jokes, and even once asked for career advice. Now she sat among friends who had known the truth all along but never told Lisa. The betrayal stung more than the affair itself. With quiet grace, Lisa reached into her handbag, took out a sealed cream envelope, and placed it beside Mark's plate. "What's this?" he asked, his confident smile faltering. "Something for you to read later," she replied softly. Then she turned to her daughter. "Emily, I'm proud of you. This day still belongs to you." Lisa stood up, smoothed her blue dress, and faced the silent room. "Please everyone, enjoy your meal. I wish you all a lovely afternoon." Her voice was steady, not broken. As she walked out, she felt every gaze follow her until the door closed behind her. Outside, the warm Georgia sun hit her face. The air felt different, free. She heard the door swing open again, Mark's angry voice calling, "Lisa, what have you done?" She didn't turn around. The envelope he held contained the beginning of her carefully planned revenge. For months, Lisa had known something was wrong. Tiny transfers in their joint account, unexplained expenses, and late-night messages Mark tried to hide. She didn't confront him right away. Instead, she started digging quietly. Working as a finance officer for over 20 years had taught her how to follow money trails. What she found was worse than she expected. Mark had been moving money into a hidden account, taking Claire on expensive trips, and even looking at beach houses. All this while telling Lisa to save more for retirement. Lisa remembered the night she discovered the text messages. Mark had left his phone on the kitchen counter while he went out to walk the dog. Curiosity wasn't her nature, but something in her heart pushed her to look. There they were, messages to Claire about their new life together, their big announcement after graduation, and how Lisa will handle it quietly. Her hands trembled, but her mind became crystal clear. He was planning his grand exit. But what he didn't know was that Lisa had already started her own plan long before he ever sent those texts. Mark had always called Lisa the practical one. She handled the bills, the savings, the mortgage. Everything he thought was too boring for him. He was the dreamer, the risk-taker, the man with big ideas that rarely survived the year. When he quit his stable job to make hand-carved furniture, Lisa worked double shifts to keep them afloat. When he said they couldn't afford to travel, she quietly paid for Emily's school trips from her own savings. Every sacrifice had a reason. But now, as she drove home from the restaurant, she realized all those sacrifices had built her strength, not her weakness. Their home stood tall on Maple Street, the white house with blue shutters they had bought 15 years ago. Mark had promised Claire this house, according to the messages Lisa had read. She parked in the driveway, stepped inside, and looked around. The pictures on the wall, family vacations, Emily's first birthday, their wedding in Charleston, suddenly felt like scenes from someone else's life. Upstairs, she found Mark's suitcases half-packed, hidden behind his suits. "Predictable," she whispered to herself, a sad smile touching her lips. He was careful with clothes, careless with hearts. Her phone vibrated constantly, friends from the party, her sister, even Mark's relatives, all wanting to know what happened. Only one message mattered. It was from Emily. "Mom, are you okay?" Lisa replied, "I'm fine, sweetheart. This isn't your burden to carry. Enjoy your graduation day. We'll talk tonight. Love you." She had kept the truth from Emily for months, wanting her to focus on school. Emily would be angry later, but she'd understand. Like her mother, she had both strength and compassion. And Lisa knew the day would come when her daughter would see the full picture. 3 hours later, Mark's car screeched into the driveway. The front door slammed open. "Lisa," he shouted. "Where are you?" She sat calmly in the living room, reviewing some documents on her laptop. When he stormed in, face red and shaking, she simply closed it and met his glare. "What is this?" he demanded, waving the papers from the envelope. "You served me divorce papers today of all days?" Lisa leaned back, her voice smooth as glass. "It seemed fitting. You wanted to start your new life. I'm just helping you begin." Mark's anger deepened. "You had no right to do this behind my back," he barked. Lisa raised an eyebrow. "No right. You've been hiding money, taking your girlfriend on vacations, and lying to your family for months. I think I've earned a few rights, don't you?" He tried to regain control, his tone shifting from rage to arrogance. "The prenup expired years ago. You can't use that against me." Lisa's lips curved slightly. "Actually, it didn't. Section 12 says the fidelity clause stays active for as long as the marriage lasts. You should have read it carefully before breaking it." For the first time, the color drained from Mark's face. "You wouldn't dare," he whispered. "Oh, I already did," Lisa replied. "You built this life pretending I was naive, but you forgot who managed every dollar you ever touched." His hands trembled as he sank into the couch, suddenly smaller, weaker. "You can't take everything from me." Lisa stood, gathering her composure. "I'm not taking anything that isn't mine. You gave it away the moment you chose her." The house felt painfully quiet except for the ticking of the old clock by the staircase, each tick a reminder that his power was slipping away. Mark's phone buzzed on the table. He ignored it at first, then glanced down, and Lisa caught a glimpse of the name flashing across the screen. "Claire." "She's wondering why you're not answering," Lisa said dryly. Mark gritted his teeth. "You always think you're smarter than everyone." "No," Lisa replied softly. "Just smarter than you thought I was." He stood abruptly. "I'm calling my lawyer." "You should," she said. "You'll need one. And don't worry, I've already filed. The court will notify you soon." The calm certainty in her voice terrified him more than her anger ever could. "I'll be staying at my sister's tonight," Lisa added, grabbing her purse. Mark blinked. "Your sister? You told Anna?" "Of course. She saw you and Claire at the Christmas party last year. You told her it was nothing. She gave you a chance to end it, but you didn't." Mark's mouth fell open. "She told you." "She did," Lisa said simply. "She was tired of covering for you." The shock on his face almost made her pity him, but only almost. "You have until tomorrow evening to move your things out. After that, the locks will be changed." As Lisa reached the doorway, Mark called after her desperately. "What about Emily? Have you thought about what this will do to her?" She stopped and turned slightly, her eyes cold. "Don't use our daughter to excuse your choices. You weren't thinking about her when you were making plans with Claire." Mark's phone buzzed again. He sighed heavily. "She's probably wondering what's taking me so long." Lisa smiled faintly. "That apartment you promised her. The lease never went through. I handled the agent's call myself. You might want to double-check that." And with that, she walked out, leaving him speechless. The night air was calm when Lisa pulled up to Anna's small brick house. Her sister opened the door before she even knocked, pulling her into a long hug. "I heard," Anna said softly. "Are you okay?" "Better than I thought I'd be," Lisa replied. The two sisters sat in the cozy kitchen, sipping wine as the clock ticked past midnight. He embarrassed you in front of everyone, Anna said angrily. What kind of man does that? One who thought I'd stay quiet, Lisa said. He wanted to control the story. But I made sure the truth speaks for itself. What did you put in that envelope? Anna asked curiously. Lisa smirked. Evidence. Bank statements, text messages, and a copy of the prenup. Everything he thought I didn't know. Anna laughed in disbelief. That's brilliant. He really underestimated you. Lisa looked out the window, her voice calm but firm. He always did. He mistook kindness for weakness. Her phone buzzed again, this time Emily. The message read, Mom, I'm coming over. Dad's telling people you've lost your mind. Lisa sighed. He's already spinning the story. Let him, Anna said. People will find out soon enough who's truly losing control. 20 minutes later, headlights flashed in the driveway. Emily rushed inside, still wearing her graduation dress, her mascara streaked with tears. She ran straight into her mother's arms. Why didn't you tell me? She sobbed. I didn't want to ruin your final semester, Lisa said softly. You deserved that joy. Emily pulled back, anger and sadness mixed in her eyes. Well, Dad ruined it anyway. Anna handed her a tissue and poured another glass of wine. Come sit, sweetheart. You both need to breathe. The three women sat together. 3 generations of strength, rebuilding from the ashes of betrayal. Lisa explained everything. How she had discovered the hidden account, the affair, and the prenup clause that would protect her. Emily listened quietly, her anger sharpening. He told me money was tight, she said bitterly. I worked 2 jobs to pay for my textbooks while he was taking her on vacations. Lisa reached for her hand. Yes, but you don't need to carry his shame. That's his burden now. Anna nodded in agreement. Your father made his choices. Now he's learning what they cost. Emily exhaled shakily. I don't know if I can ever forgive him. Forgiveness isn't for him, Lisa said gently. It's for your peace. Before they could continue, the doorbell rang. Anna frowned. It's late. Who could that be? She went to the door and returned a moment later, her voice tense. It's Mark, and he's not alone. Lisa's heart sank, though her face stayed calm. When Mark walked in, Claire trailed behind him, her confidence replaced by visible discomfort. Lisa, we need to talk, Mark said sharply. You need to unfreeze those accounts before this gets worse. Emily rose from the couch, her voice trembling with anger. Before what gets worse, Dad? The mess you already made. Mark's face tightened as he realized Emily was no longer the little girl who once ran into his arms. Sweetheart, this is between your mother and me, he said in a low voice, trying to sound calm. Emily crossed her arms. You humiliated her in front of everyone. You don't get to call that private. Claire shifted uneasily beside him, whispering, Mark, maybe we should come back later. But he ignored her. Lisa, he demanded, you're being unreasonable. We can settle this like adults. Lisa looked at him steadily. You had that chance before you made your announcement. Now the law will settle it. Anna stepped forward, her voice sharp. You've done enough damage for one day, Mark. You shouldn't even be here. Stay out of this, Anna, he snapped. This is family business. She is family, Lisa said firmly. You made that clear when you brought your mistress into ours. Claire's cheeks flushed red. I didn't come here to fight, she murmured, glancing at the floor. Then you should have stayed home, Emily shot back. The room fell silent, heavy with years of pain and pride. For the first time, Mark seemed to realize how completely he had lost control of the people he once thought he commanded. Mark's tone softened as he turned back to Lisa. Look, I know I made mistakes. But freezing the accounts, that's cruel. I have bills to pay, employees depending on me. Lisa sighed quietly. You should have thought about that before you moved company funds into your personal account. The court has already been notified. Mark blinked in confusion. What do you mean, notified? My lawyer filed an emergency motion this afternoon. Everything is frozen until discovery. Claire's head snapped toward him. You said the accounts were safe. Mark looked caught between panic and fury. I thought they were. Anna smirked, arms folded. Seems like you didn't just lie to your wife. You lied to your girlfriend too. Claire glared at him, her voice rising. You told me you had savings. You told me the new house was ours. Lisa's voice stayed calm. Actually, that house was just a listing he looked at. The deposit he used was reversed this morning when the bank flagged the transaction. Claire turned on Mark. You didn't tell me that either. This isn't your business, Claire, he barked. It became my business the moment you promised me a future, she shot back. The cracks in their so-called partnership widened fast. Emily stepped closer to her mother. You don't have to keep explaining anything to him, she said firmly. He's made his choices. Lisa nodded. I know, sweetheart. But sometimes people need to hear the truth they've been avoiding. He turned to Mark. You thought I'd stay silent, ashamed and broken. But I spent my whole life helping you succeed. I won't apologize for finally helping myself. Mark exhaled shakily, rubbing his forehead. You're destroying me, Lisa. Her tone was steady, unshaken. No, Mark. You destroyed yourself. I just stopped saving you. Claire grabbed her purse angrily. This is ridiculous. You didn't tell me any of this, Mark. You made me look like a fool. Where are you going? He demanded. To think, she said coldly. Something you should have done months ago. She stormed out, slamming the door so hard the walls shook. The silence that followed was heavy. Mark looked exhausted, older somehow. His shoulders sagging under the weight of his mistakes. You've turned everyone against me, he muttered. You did that all on your own, Anna replied. We're just finally seeing you for who you are. Mark turned to Emily again, desperation in his eyes. Honey, please, you don't understand. Marriage is complicated. People grow apart. Emily's voice cracked with anger. You didn't just grow apart. You betrayed Mom, you lied to me, and you used me to make yourself look good. Her words hit him harder than anything Lisa had said. For a moment he looked like he might cry, but then pride took over again. One day you'll see things differently. Emily shook her head. No, Dad. I see them clearly now. You taught me what kind of person I'll never become. Lisa walked toward the door, signaling that the conversation was over. Mark, it's time for you to leave. I'll see you in court. He hesitated, searching for words that might soften her, but she was done listening. You're making a mistake, he said weakly. Lisa met his eyes, unflinching. The only mistake I ever made was believing you'd never hurt me. Mark's voice cracked. After everything we built nothing that could survive lies, she replied. Now I'm building something that will. And with that, she turned away as Anna opened the door, motioning for him to go. Mark left without another word, his footsteps echoing on the porch as rain began to fall outside. When the door finally shut, Emily collapsed beside her mother, tears streaming down her face. I've never talked to him like that before, she whispered. Lisa wrapped an arm around her gently. Sometimes standing up for what's right hurts, but it's necessary. Anna brought the wine bottle and poured fresh glasses for both of them. To new beginnings, she said softly, raising her glass. To freedom, Lisa added. Emily nodded, wiping her tears. And to never letting anyone make us feel small again. The next few days passed quietly. Mark tried calling several times, but Lisa didn't answer. She focused on organizing her documents and working closely with her lawyer. The preliminary hearing was set for Tuesday. Rain poured that morning as Lisa walked into the small courthouse, her head held high. Mark sat on the other side of the room, looking tired and defeated beside a young, nervous attorney. The judge, a sharp-eyed woman in her 60s, opened the file. I've reviewed the prenup and the evidence submitted, she said. Mr. Carter, do you contest the agreement's validity? His lawyer stammered. Your Honor, we believe. But she cut him off. Don't. It's valid. The judge adjusted her glasses, flipping through the pages. Section 18 clearly states that this agreement remains active through the duration of the marriage and any resulting legal proceedings, she read aloud. Mark's lawyer swallowed hard. Your Honor, my client. Your client, she interrupted, should have read what he signed. Mark slumped in his seat, his confidence drained. The judge continued. I'm maintaining the freeze on all joint accounts until a full financial discovery is complete. Mrs. Carter will retain possession of the family home per the infidelity clause. Lisa sat quietly, her heart calm. Justice was unfolding exactly as she'd planned. Mark's face turned red with anger. This is outrageous, he muttered under his breath. The judge looked up sharply. Mr. Carter, you'd do well to remember you're in a courtroom, not your dining room. His young attorney sank lower in his chair, embarrassed. The gavel tapped once. Court adjourned until full hearing in 30 days. The echo of that sound felt like closure, like a door shutting behind years of deception. As the courtroom emptied, Mark hurried after Lisa in the hallway. Lisa, please. 28 years can't just vanish like this, he said. They didn't vanish, she replied softly. You threw them away. She walked away, leaving him frozen by the door. Outside, the rain had stopped, and the air smelled of wet earth and renewal. Over the next few weeks, the news spread through their circle of friends. Some called to offer sympathy, others to gossip. Lisa stayed graceful and vague. We're separating. These things happen, she would say, never revealing details. But everyone eventually learned the truth. Mark's image as a family man collapsed, and his business partners began distancing themselves. Even his clients grew wary, choosing to invest elsewhere. The proud man who once boasted of success now faced ruin. 2 weeks later, Anna called with a touch of amusement in her voice. Guess who moved out, she said. Claire. Lisa smiled faintly. That didn't take long. Apparently, Anna continued, she realized Mark isn't as wealthy as he claimed. She told her friend that she didn't sign up to date a man with financial problems. Lisa laughed softly. He always loved illusions. Now he's living in the reality he created. For the first time in years, she felt peace, a quiet kind of strength she hadn't known she was missing. There was no revenge more satisfying than calm progress. Lisa used her free time to start something new. She rented a small office downtown and began setting up her long-delayed dream, a financial consultancy for women. She called it Carter Financial Transitions. Her first 2 clients were women facing divorces, unsure how to manage their money after years of dependence. Lisa guided them with patience and confidence. Word spread quickly. Soon she was helping widows, single mothers, and professionals starting over. Each woman who walked through her door reminded her of who she once was, and who she never wanted to be again. Emily visited often, proud and curious. Mom, your office looks amazing, she said one afternoon, glancing around the bright room filled with plants and books. You did all this by yourself. Lisa smiled. Yes. And I finally feel like I'm doing something that matters. Emily nodded, eyes shining. You're helping people during the worst times of their lives. You're teaching them how to stand on their own. Lisa looked out the window at the city beyond. I'm just doing what I wish someone had done for me. The 2 women hugged, bound by something stronger than betrayal, rebirth. The final divorce hearing arrived exactly 1 year after Mark's public announcement. Ironically, it fell on what would have been their 29th wedding anniversary. The courtroom was quiet, the tension almost polite. Mark looked worn out, his hair thinner, his suit ill-fitted. His new lawyer, older, more experienced, spoke little, knowing there was nothing left to argue. The judge upheld the prenuptial agreement entirely. Lisa retained the house, her retirement funds, and 70% of the joint investments. Mark kept his personal belongings, his struggling business, and a small portion of his savings, barely enough for a modest apartment. When it was over, Mark stood and walked toward her, his tone stripped of arrogance. "I made a terrible mistake," he said quietly. "Is there any chance we could start again?" Lisa looked at him gently, without hatred. "No, Mark. That door closed a long time ago." He nodded slowly, tears forming in his eyes. "I hope you find happiness, Lisa. You deserve it." "I already have," she replied. For the first time she saw sincerity in his face, but it was too late. They had become two different people living in two different worlds. 6 months later, Carter Financial Transitions was thriving. Lisa had moved into a larger office and hired 2 young associates. Her clients admired her grace and wisdom, many unaware of the storm she had once survived. On the wall behind her desk hung a single framed photo. Her and Emily smiling in front of the courthouse, the day their new life truly began. "You know what's funny?" Emily said during one of her visits. "If Dad had been honest, he might have kept half of everything." Lisa chuckled softly. Sometimes people destroy themselves trying to grab more than they deserve. That evening, Lisa stayed late at the office, the golden sunset pouring through the blinds. She looked around, the polished desk, the glowing laptop, the sound of quiet success humming around her. The envelope she once placed beside Mark's plate had been more than revenge. It was her freedom. Inside it had been not just legal papers but a key, the key to her own story. For the first time in decades, she wasn't someone's wife or someone's helper. She was herself, strong, whole, and finally at peace. And as the sun dipped below the horizon, Lisa Carter smiled. She had reclaimed her life.